All right, so for this portion of the module, we're going to be looking into inquiry and more specifically two types of instructional models. So inductive and deductive. Now, when we're talking about deductive, that is more of direct instruction. So giving the students a fact and sharing an example with them, such as uh, telling them that a plant needs sun and water to survive. When it comes to inductive, that is inquiry based. So that's creating experiences and well, asking a question and creating an experience where students can test the question out and then they arrive at the conclusion. So the great thing about science is that we get to use both of these types of models. And if you look at the 5E model of instruction, it really encompasses both of those instructional models. So here we have the 5E model. So the first part is engage. So that can be sharing picture observations, sharing video clips to engage the students. So that would be showing a picture of a plant, if I keep on with the example of the plant, sharing a picture of a plant growing in a time lapse. And then you go to the explore part. So that is where you conduct research, test a hypothesis. So that would be like asking the essential question, what does a plant need to survive? And then you conduct the experiment. So you can plant a seed and put it in the sun, and then plant another one and put it in a dark space, and you test that question out. Then you go to the explain portion. So this is where the deductive instructional model comes in. After testing it out, this is where you bring out your textbooks, your vocabulary instruction. So for plants, this is where I would have them read about the plant growing process. So once you explain, you go on to the elaborate portion. So this is where you can conduct more lab experiments. So for instance, we talked about the plants needing sun and water to survive. An extension would be, well, does a plant need soil to survive? And so conducting an experiment where a seed can grow with just sun and water. And then finally, you reach the evaluate. So this is where you reflect on their learning, but they also reflect on their learning. So they can do self-assessments or organize a portfolio. For my students, we did a student plant journal, and so that's something that we would look through and see all of the things they tested and just reflect on their learning that way. Sometimes we may have constraints with wanting to implement these two types of instructional models. So sometimes there's limited time and planning and teaching. Other times we must follow strict instructions to follow a curriculum, but as long as you make it a goal to implement at least once or twice a week, this really allows the students to feel like they're in control of their learning. One great thing that I learned from my mentor teacher was asking a notice and wonder before each introduction of a new topic. So that could be like when we learned about coins in second grade math. She put a picture of a group of coins and she asked, well, what do you guys notice and wonder? So just having that time for the students to be curious and share their curiosity, it just begins that thinking, or provides that space for inquiry.